Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whatever time it is, whenever this is. Welcome to the brand new show. This week's news roundup on the 1st of January 2024. It's actually the 7th of January 2024. I like to get my first error out of the way first thing. Anyway, enough of this nonsense of trying to be serious. Got a new studio, we've got a new suit. And we've got a new format as well. This used to be What a Week That Was, which was on a Saturday. You can check out the playlist and the podcasts for that on YouTube. You can also find them in other places as well. So by all means do that. But this is where I look at the week's news and give my opinion and tell people basically how to run the world. And also empathise and sympathise with people as well. I have a brand new trusty book, which is my 2004 diary. And this one has got a page for every day of the week, except for the weekend, where it's only got half a page. Let's be honest, no news ever happens at the weekend. So, first off, we're going to get this show started by letting you know that we live stream this every night, every week even, on a Sunday, from round about 9 p.m. BST or GMT, depending which one is applicable. At the moment it's GMT. British Summertime doesn't start until March. So if you want to join us wherever you are in the world live, then subscribe, click the notification bell, and then join us as and when we come on air. If you can't join us live, then feel free to comment in the comments section, because that's what the comment section is there for. It's there for comments. That's why it's called a comment section. You can also like, share, and well, subscribe, but you've already done that, haven't you? Otherwise you won't be watching. Anyway, I always give a big shout out to everyone who actually contributes to the conversation at the end of the show, so I'll be doing that as well. Anyway, let's get things started. I hope you like the new studio. I like blue, so I've gone for a blue one this year. Cost a lot of money. Well, about half an hour on the internet looking it up. The main news this week was dominated by news in Japan, and there was a terrible earthquake. Japan is noticeable for earthquakes, it has to be said, and sadly they had a major one on overnight on the 1st of January. It was a 7.9 I think earthquake, and there were at least 4 dead, and tsunami warnings were given out. Thankfully there were no actual tsunamis apart from a little bit of rising. But other than that, it wasn't as bad as feared. Except now, there's getting on for 100 people that have been found dead in areas that people have just about getting to now because the roads have all been destroyed by the earthquake. Good evening, Luke Williams. Hope you're well. That wasn't the only news from Japan, though. The photograph that you can see there is the moment that an aeroplane landing, a passenger aeroplane landing, hit an aeroplane that was going out to give aid to some of the people who had lost everything in the earthquakes. It turns out that the plane that was hit, 5 people died on that plane, but no one was injured or killed miraculously on the actual passenger plane, which is amazing if you think about it. But safety and everything was paramount with everyone, and after the fire was put out, which was some time later, it was revealed that no one was seriously injured on the actual plane, when if you look at it, you can't believe how people have survived that. Anyone else? Nope, no one else has come in the chat room. That wasn't the only news this week. Juxtaposition of 16-year-olds. We had the almost fairy tale story of Luke Littler, 16 going on 35, 2 divorces, who actually came second in the World Darts Championship, the youngest person ever to win a match, let alone get into the final of the World Darts. 16 years old, turned 17 in a couple of weeks time, so congratulations to him. He's basically a local lad. You have to claim this, don't you? It's a bit like when Andy Murray wins anything, he's British, but when he loses anything, he's Scottish. Well, Luke is from Warrington, which is about 10 miles away from here, so literally round the corner, so we'll claim him. However, sadly, again on New Year's Eve, Harry Pittman, who's also 16, was stabbed to death on Primrose Hill whilst trying to watch the New Year's celebrations. A 16-year-old has been arrested for murder, carrying an offensive weapon, and other charges as well. But it just shows you that you never know exactly what is going to turn out in life. So you have one 16-year-old having the time of his life, whilst pretty much in the same week, he's not the only 16-year-old who's lost his life this week, but this poor lad, Harry Pittman, has lost his life. It's just horrendous to think about. Hi JT, hi Rachel, hope you're both well. Other regulars have come onto the chat fairly regular. So next we're on to, I'm learning all this myself to be fair, we're on to the world news, which is basically where I look at the week's news in brief. On Monday, which was New Year's Day, we had considerably more bombing, etc. in Gaza. Now, Israel has told people to move from north of Gaza to south of Gaza, and now they're bombing people in the south of Gaza as well. There are no safe areas for people in Gaza. It's an absolute nightmare for them. And as I've said many times before, it's basically ethnic cleansing that is going on by Israel. Tuesday, which was the 2nd of January, Israel kills deputy leader of Hamas in Lebanon, and there are worries now that the whole war is going to escalate. Now, Lebanon isn't necessarily part of the Gaza Strip, nor is it a part of Israel as well. You can see from the tiny map, the map at the top there, Lebanon is right up there, and Israel basically did a missile strike to take out someone from Hamas. Now, apparently, the UK has someone from Hamas who runs Hamas who is actually living in the UK. So is Israel going to bomb the UK as well? We'll have to find out, won't we? But yeah, I agree with getting rid of people from Hamas, destroying Hamas, but they're doing it completely wrong, and they are making things worse for themselves in the future. Brings us to storms over here. We had Storm Henrik, not Henrik, Henrik. Yeah, we had a severe storm here, and Henk, I think it was called, which I drove through on Tuesday, ironically, although we didn't get it anywhere near as bad here as what they did down south and over on the east coast. It started to clear, but there's still strong winds and flooding, and more flooding is to be expected because so much rain fell, particularly on the hills, that the rivers always take a day or two to actually get to their maximum. 120 injured and 5 dead after missile strikes in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine has been hit by many missile strikes, but they seem to have got considerably worse over the last few weeks, certainly since what's going on there? Why is that doing that? There we go. Certainly since the New Year and Christmas, etc. But yeah, they are getting bombed now in Kyiv on a regular basis. Now, Kyiv is quite a long way from Russia. However, Ukraine are doing the right thing and striking back again. But yeah, these are escalation of attacks, including drones and missiles. Meanwhile, back in the UK government claims asylum cases are all sorted now. The backlog is cleared. Turns out they're only talking about the legacy backlog. They're not talking about people who are in the backlog recently. So they're not lying. They're kind of, bending the truth a little bit like politicians generally do. Wednesday came along and junior doctors start a 6-day strike. And they are saying it's to keep people in the industry. It's nothing to do with the pay rise. At least that's what one of the doctors said on the picket line. Unfortunately, this doctor was on the picket line and is there because their union will not go back to work or stop the strikes until either the doctors vote to stop or they get a 35% pay rise. They've already had an 8.8% pay rise, which has been given to them automatically, but they want more. But it's nothing to do with pay, it's to do with retention. Some NHS trusts did issue critical incidents, and that was on the first day. It was a 6-day, or is a 6-day, because it's still going on now as I speak, strike, and I've driven past Wigan Infirmary a few times, and the ambulance numbers are definitely considerably higher than what they have been recently. However, the weather has changed. We've had a lot of wind, we've had a lot of rain, and now it's gone very cold. So there could be the more elderly people who've had slips, trips and falls, who are also adding to the increase of the demand at the A&E. Plus, we've got a rise in COVID as well, the new variant, which is always exciting when we get a new one, isn't it? I love it when we get a new thing. It's always fun. Or is it? I don't know. Anyway, that was the NHS. Nearly 100 were killed in Iran as they were mourning a year on a loss of one of their leaders. They were described as remote explosions, but it turned out they were actually suicide bombers. Jeffrey Epstein's associates list is going to be revealed. Possibly 170 people, if not more, on that list. More of that later. 15-year-old arrested in suspicion of murder of the 16-year-old who was sadly killed on Primrose Hill, Harry Pittman. And Storm Henk has killed one person, a tree falling onto a car. Pontins in Southport. Pontins are going through a bit of a torrid time at the minute. They've already shut 2 of their holiday resorts without warning. Well, there's now a third one, which is Southport, which isn't actually in Southport. You have to drive past the fun fair along the new road at Ainsdale Beach for about 2 miles, and then turn right as if you're going onto the beach, and that's where it was. It's still there. They haven't knocked it down yet. They only shut it on Wednesday, without warning. Staff were not given any notice. People have booked holidays and trips there as well, but apparently it's no longer viable. Many thought to be trapped after some earthquakes. 70 confirmed dead. Coast Guard aeroplane was not cleared for takeoff. That's regarding the Japanese disaster in the airports. Very quiet in the chat room. Please feel free to join in the chat, whether you agree, disagree, or you just want to say hello. It's fine. That's what the chat room's there for. On Thursday the 4th, Nottinghamshire Trent River is recording a record height for this century, which sounds scary, but then you realise the century is actually only 22 years old. Well, 23 years old. We've only just got into 2024, so yeah, we'll say 23 years old. Can't do math, man. But it turns out it actually got worse as the week went on, and it has actually reached near enough new record heights since records began. Rishi Rich says election could be in second half of the year. Could be in the operative word, because I've heard it's going to be in spring. Starmer says Rishi Rich is squatting in Downing Street. I don't think he means having a poo. I mean, he thinks squatting as in, you know, being there where he shouldn't be, like paying the rent and all that kind of stuff. Says people are fed up with politicians in general, including the Labour Party. Well, he's not wrong there. I would not vote Labour if you paid me at the moment, at least not while Key's in charge, because he changes his mind more than I change my underpants, and I change my underpants every day. Well, most days. I mean, you can turn me inside out, can't? No, maybe not. But he says Britain is crying out for change. We are. We want a change. We are fed up with the Conservatives. We're fed up with Labour. We want a new party who's actually going to do something for Britain. I will stand up there and I will do it. Except I haven't got any money, or political sway, or common sense. And I've never stuck any of my genitals in a pig's mouth, dead or alive. So I can't be Prime Minister. It's a shame. Sorry, don't know where that went from. In Liverpool, there were 3 areas where there was gunfire, including in a off-licence, in a cinema, and on a street near a house. A 49-year-old man has been arrested and charged with having an offensive weapon and various other charges as well. There was also news that a 13-year-old boy in America had completed Tetris. When asked how long he'd been playing it, he said since it came out. I think he might be lying. Or it might be since he came out of his mother, I assume. The elder politicians' policies and more. More. But yeah, he got very excited. He'd been playing it for 39 minutes. Now I'm like, you can't complete Tetris in 39 minutes. But basically, he'd got 999,999 score and he was on level 500 bazillion. It was time for his tea, and yeah, he got it, and he was filming it. Why you would film yourself when you were 13, I have no idea. Can't imagine anyone interested in watching a 13-year-old film themselves. Yeah, parents, where are you? When I was a youngster, I'd say late teens, early 20s, I actually completed and clocked a game as well, and that was Jelly Monsters on the Commodore VIC-20. I bet no one else can claim that. Sadly, I couldn't film it at the time because there wasn't that capability back then, unless I'd had my cine camera to hand, my VHS camera. And Elvis is rising from the dead. More of this a little bit later. But he's going to do a return for some UK gigs. Apparently when he was alive he never came to the UK. He was very upset about that because he never did gigs in the UK. So getting on for 40 years after he died, he's coming back and he's doing some gigs around the UK. Well, not around the UK, in London. But no worry, they're not digging him up because his body's been nicked anyway. What they're going to do is they're going to do the what was it? The word's gone. Holographic show, and it's going to be a bit of his life and then some of his highlights of his tunes that he sang. So it sounds like an interesting night out if you're into Elvis. I was going to go to the ABBA one because I dislike ABBA less than I dislike Elvis. So if Rock and a Hard Place, I'd go to the ABBA one. That brought us to Friday. More flooding. Over 100 houses in England have been flooded. 1,000 houses, sorry, in England. Now, I'll be honest with you, considering the amount of flooding we've had, 1,000 houses flooded doesn't sound that bad. I mean, obviously, if you're one of the houses, it's terrible. But 1,000 in the entire country, considering the amount of weather we've had and the amount of rain we've had in the last, 9 months, I think that's quite impressive. So obviously, it looks like things are improving. And there is one house, okay, it's a posh house, it's a big house, and they built their own flood defences. Basically a breeze block wall full of I think the gap's full of rubber or something, and then they've got the bits that they slide in where the entrances are that seal it all up, and from the air it does look like an island surrounded by water. They can't get out though. Slight flaw. Buy a boat, go down to Charnock, Richard Canoes, buy a boat. Yeah, if you live in the northwest you might get that reference. If you don't, you won't. Oscar Pistorius, the one-legged murderer, has been released from prison on parole after serving, it says, half of his life sentence. He's actually done 9 years of 13. Why he only got 13, I've no idea. His defence was, at the time, that he just thought it was an intruder in the bed, and he went round and shot them through the bathroom door. But he was sharing a bed with a woman he shot, who was his girlfriend, and didn't notice that she wasn't in bed, and she could have gone to the bathroom as people do in the night, and shot her. So he got done for murder. Israel says there will be a limited Palestine governance in Gaza, which is basically what I've been saying all along. They want to take control of it and have as minimal input from the people who live there, which are the Palestinians. And it says the war will continue for many, many more months. I mean, Gaza isn't that big. Gaza is not it's not like Ukraine, which is massive. It's a tiny, tiny country. So why is it taking them months to do it? And why are they still killing innocent people? Pretty much every day, including in the West Bank. David Soul, a famous actor and singer. Come on, silver lady, take my word. I won't run out on you again, believe me. That was his hit. He was also Skarsky or Hutch. I never knew which one he was. He was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed one, rather than the hairy cardigan-wearing one. He wasn't blonde-haired or blue-eyed. I preferred Chips though to Skarsky and Hutch. And to be fair, there was one of them who was blonde hair and blue eyes, and the other one wasn't. So, I don't know, I didn't like both. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, sadly, he's passed away at the age of 80, and I didn't realise he'd actually moved to the UK and been living in the UK for a considerable length of time. So fair play to him. That brings us nicely to Saturday. More than 170 Boeing 737 MAX planes have been grounded in America after one of them lost a window. Basically, a window and pretty much the entire side underneath the window of the cabin blew out at 16,000 feet. The plane managed to land, and miraculously there was no one on board who was even injured. I dare say there was a lot of clean underwear required, and the showers would have been well used in the hotels. But either way, it was a miracle. The irony was that last night I've been watching one of these shows where it was filmed in like 2004, so it's all a bit dodgy. The computer images and everything, they're not quite what they are nowadays. But it was showing the aeroplane, I think it was in Hawaii, where the entire roof ripped off, if you remember. And basically it landed, and there was only one person who died, and that was one of the air hostesses, or whatever they're called nowadays, who had been sucked out of the window. But yeah, it's actually quite amazing that this plane managed to land and no one got even injured, never mind killed. It's the same aeroplane though, the 737 MAX, that was grounded a few years ago after two of them crashed unexpectedly. Turned out because the software was crap that they put in it, and it didn't know how to react to what was going on when something wasn't exactly 100% perfect. They've sorted that out, but now it seems that the planes are starting to fall apart. Israel, back to Gaza, says that it's dismantled Hamas in North Gaza. It's dismantled northern Gaza, because if we go back to the map and we have a look at Gaza, we will see that northern Gaza is, where are we? There we go. Oh, I see why I did that now. There you go. Northern Gaza, up here, has been completely cleared out of people because, basically, Israel has carpet bombed it. All the houses, or the majority of houses, has been completely destroyed. So everyone's now down south, and now Israel is starting to bomb and destroy what's going on down south. And as I've said a few times before, no doubt I'll say again and again and again, I don't understand what the difference is between putting leaflets out telling people where to go to be safe and then bombing them, what it is than putting people on trains and taking them to places. I just think the whole thing is sick, and the governments are starting to wake up now that this is not how it should be done. Yeah, destroy Hamas, but not at the expense of innocent people's lives. That brings us to today. The RMT union, railway union, stopped some underground strikes that were going to start, and it's been described as last minute. Well, it's not last minute because they've stopped, and they've announced they've stopped, and they're only meant to start tomorrow, which is basically when everyone's supposed to go back to work after the Easter holidays, particularly if you're working in an office or something similar. Obviously, if you work like I do in retail, then you had one day off on Christmas Day and one day off on New Year's Day, although a lot of retail open on New Year's Day as well. So it's just like office workers and bankers and things like that. But anyway, the strike has been averted, so London will not grind to a halt. There's been amber warning given out for more bad weather. This time it's freezing weather, and already it's got to be said the temperature is plummeting, and there's a risk of snow even on low land. We've basically got this weather warning now, which is a risk to life amber warning for cold weather conditions until Friday. I remind you, at time of recording, this is Sunday. I mean, they are thinking ahead. So already this morning I had to scrape ice off the car, which was frozen on water that had melted after the defrost yesterday and then froze again. So yeah, the weather at the moment is all over the place. And the government are looking into exonerating all the post office managers and workers who were falsely accused of fraud by the Horizon 17 software error when they had their software updated. The post office accused people of stealing thousands of pounds from their post offices and people's accounts when it was actually their fault and a massive software error. Anyway, a lot of people have been accused and found guilty of fraud, have gone to prison. Sadly, some post office workers have actually committed suicide over this. Many have died through illness because of the stress caused by this as well. So the government are looking at clearing everyone's name, and that's what is going on. I thought you were explaining what ice was then. I can explain what ice was. Ice is basically water that's got very, very cold indeed. There you go. That brings us to the world news. Now, in the older days, we used to do Australia and America separate. I've now combined the two together. Although we're only doing Australian news because I'm just basically testing all the pages out today. This is more of a pilot, although it is a real one, of the let's look at the week's news and review it thing, which isn't called What a Week That Was anymore. It's different, completely different format. Whales in Australia have been spotted creating a Fibonacci spiral. And you're like, what the is a Fibonacci spiral? Well, I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, I haven't got a fucking clue. But it is very, very impressive. I assume it's something to do with mating or something like that, or a dance or something. I don't think they're doing it to show humans from space or in space what snails look like. I don't think that's what they're doing. But it is very impressive. If you get a chance, have a look at the video of it. It is quite special. In a good way, not in a bad way. Not like, speckle, that's nice. Not that kind of way. No. Did you know a Fibonacci sounds like another word for a lie? A Fibonacci. Yes, I'm going to tell you the truth, or it might be a Fibonacci. Would I Fibonacci to you? TV show, because there's a format there, isn't there? Spice Girls have got a stamp collection released in the UK. Who knew? More importantly, who gives a fuck? The UK has spiced up its postal service. I wish. It's shite at the minute. Releasing a special collection of stamps dedicated to the Spice Girls to mark their band's 30th anniversary. It feels longer ago than that. It's the first time Britain's postal service has dedicated an entire stamp collection to a female pop group. Well, yeah, how many female pop groups deserve it? I mean, you could have Bananarama, maybe. You could have, to be fair, the spin-off. Sister, not Sister, what are they called? Da, 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 da. Yeah, they did that song about Stay With Me. That one. They could have had Girls Aloud, but well, let's be honest, that's no. They could have had loads of ones, but no, they went for the Spice Girls. Also celebrated, obviously, in the Doctor Who New Year Christmas special, with that rather excellent sequence that they did with Spice Up Your Life. Foreign citizens could be allowed to join the Australian Defence Force. Aussie troops could soon serve alongside foreign citizens in the federal government's bid to bolster defence personnel numbers to reach their ambitious goal of adding 18,500 by 2040. The current policy solely allows Australian citizens to serve in the military, with exemptions granted only in very rare and exceptional circumstances. Now, I can see where they're coming from, but the problem you've got is the amount of people migrating around the world are not necessarily people that you'd want armed in the country that you're in. And this is a problem that the UK and Europe's got at the minute as well, with all these people coming in who we don't know who they are, we don't know what military background they've got or whatever, and they could say, oh, we can join the army, we'll help you. And then we give them weapons and all that, and before you know it, we've got killers on our own land. So I'd be a bit worried about that, Australia, if I were you. Hashtag just saying. Do you think fish has gone up recently? I must admit, I went to the new Chippery this weekend and I had fish and chips, and it was only £7 odd, and I thought it was actually quite good. But what about this? A giant tuna fish sells for $1.2 million in an auction. Now, I don't know whether that's Australian dollars, in which case it's probably about £4.50, or whether it's American dollars, in which case it's probably £1 million. But either way, it's a rather expensive fish. Plus, they've not even got it in a fridge. It's outside on the street. That's not hygienic, is it? It's kind of put me off tuna. But a giant bluefin tuna weighing 238 kilograms has sold for approximately $1.2 million at an annual fish market auction in Tokyo. So it's an annual fish market in Tokyo. Why is its fin sticking out of its gill? Is that to show it's a bluefin? Because you could took that off anything. Did anyone ever watch that episode of what's it called? That show in Ireland with the girls, and they have the James, the lad with the curly hair, who's there as well. I can't remember what the show's called, But they had an episode with a fish, a tuna fish. Was it that? I think it was that, and they were going to sell it for lots of money, and end up being eaten or rotting away in the docks in Armagh or wherever they are in Ireland. So it is. Hello, thank you. My mouse wasn't working then. I'm just going to skip an ad. There you go. I could see that coming up then, so I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. We're not having an ad. But yeah, can you imagine though? If you how much? I mean, it's. Let's go back to that. So it's 238 kilograms, and it's sold for 1.2 million. So how much is that a kilogram? I mean, I don't think we're going to get any of that in a John West tin anytime soon. I don't think John West will have bought that, or Princess will have bought that to put in a tin. Have we got a calculator on this phone? Dumpty dumpty dum. Dump. No. Surely I've got a calculator. A calculator. Yeah, there we go, calculator. So we've got 238 divided by 1, 2, 0, 0, 0, 1.20, 0 equals. No, that doesn't work. You need to do it the other way around. So we've got, well, hang on, cancel. So we've got 1.200000. No, we haven't. Oh, God's sake. 1.200000 divided by, there we go, 238. 238. Does that include the fin that they've shoved through its gill? It's not very hygienic, is it? And it works out at $5,042, 1.6 cents a kilogram. You're never going to get your money back. John West had definitely not bought that one. That's all I can say to that. Australia also covered this, the passing of David Soul, 1943 to 2024. Like I say, a sad loss, but quite impressed that he lived in the UK. Which you can't knock, can you? What's wrong with living in the UK? That brings us to the news that makes you go, which is a new name for and finally, or the last bit, or whatever. Although it's not, I've still got other stuff to come. So, here we go with this. Whoa, that's the wrong thing completely. Let's not do that again. So, yeah, it was a New Year picture by Banksy, which I think is genius. Because that's what we were all like, weren't it, on New Year? The iconic Disney character is now in public domain, but not Mickey Mouse as such, only Mickey Mouse from when he was on Steamboat Willie. And Minnie Mouse, who I didn't think was on Steamboat Willie. Elvis to make a comeback in AI form, it's actually a hologram. Now, you've heard all these XL bullies, dogs that are really vicious and everything, and people basically have let them get to a stage now where they're going to get killed because people haven't trained them properly, don't know how to look after them or use them as a status symbol. What you need to do is you need to take precautions when you've got a dangerous dog and make sure that whatever you do, you keep it on a lead that is going to hold it so you can actually hold the dog back should it try and attack someone. For example, this, which I think is a perfectly adequate safety device for a vicious dog like the one in the picture. So yes, definitely make sure you've got a lead or a leash if you're American that is strong enough to actually hold back the dog that you've got. This is something that I've done. Go big or go home. That's what I've done with my shop, but Banks has decided that's a good thing to make an image about. Pardon me. Now it says here, most dangerous spider left schoolboy delusional and unable to walk. And when I first read this, I thought most schoolboys are delusional now, thinking that they're going to be famous as a footballer or as a star on social media, but it's a much sadder story than that. Matthew's parents thought the little scratch that appeared on their son's legs was nothing too serious. That was until 2 days later when the boy couldn't support his own weight anymore. And did we know we had a dangerous spider in the UK? Now, I'll be honest, I've never seen one of those, but if I do see a spider, I do run a mile. Now, I was on about Jeffrey Epstein before in the list. And one of the surprising names that came up was Stephen Hawking. It seems that he wasn't the goody-goody that we all thought he was. Stephen Hawking has been named in Jeffrey Epstein's court documents implicating him in an underage orgy, and it's not the first time the late physicist has been involved in scandal. Turns out, before he obviously became immobile, he was quite a chap at university and at school, etc., and was also quite friendly with the ladies. Obviously, none of this has been proven. He's not here to defend himself anymore either. So it's always think it's an easy target, unlike Putin. Russia is losing war in Ukraine, but have SIM card planned for precise bombing runs. Now, their precise bombing runs are killing civilians, so they're not very precise, are they? Unless, of course, they're trying to kill civilians. Is it a case at the moment that Russia and the IDF, Israeli Defense Federation, or whatever they are, is it IDA Army, are trying to kill the most civilians each, so you can kill the most innocent people? Because at the moment, I think, despite having a head start, I'm pretty sure that the Israelis have killed more innocent civilians than Putin has in this war, and he's killed a lot of people. Vladimir Putin may be plotting accurate bombing runs in Ukraine with the use of Iranian drones which can link up with mobile phone towers scattered around Kyiv and beyond. So in the older days, they used to kind of do the old map thing, where are we, what's the wind direction, blah blah blah, we'll put the angle like that and do whatever. One would think they would have satellite navigation in them so they could be more accurate, but no. Putin and his cronies are using mobile phone towers to lock on to where they are aiming to blow people up. And I just don't get how that is viable and how that is not, again, another war crime. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle needs to allow herself to get roasted to be popular. Now, I'm not sure roasting a former royal is a thing to do. I don't know anyone who'd eat her, and it probably costs a lot of money as well. But turns out they're not on about that. They're now on about, you know, in America where they have famous people and they just rip into them. It's not very PC and it's not very woke either. But anyway, apparently they think that will win the people of America and the rest of the world back over to liking Meghan Markle. No, not me anyway. A bloke finds £47,000 in a Nesquik cans in the walls of a new home, but gets a nasty surprise. Yeah, they're out of date Francos, España francs. So yeah, he can't actually cash them in, even though they were worth something once. They're no longer legal tender. Grandnephews of world's most inbred family on childhood with drugs and shooting. The Whittaker family are so inbred that some of them are only able to communicate through grunts and barks. The problems arose when the offspring of two identical twins had 15 children. Only in America. Except it's not in America. A US government recovered evidence of at least 10 aliens from craft crashed on Earth. A covert meeting was called after claims made by former intelligence officer David Grush, who said the US government recovered evidence of aliens from a craft that crashed on Earth. Except, of course, he didn't, and he's making it all up. Miracle passengers made it off Japan Airlines flight thanks to amazing crew. Keep it in the family. You're referring to the twins, aren't you? Yes, yeah, keep it in the family, yeah, but maybe not having children within the family. Miracle passengers made it off Japan Airlines flight thanks to amazing crew. The nightmarish runway crash that saw two planes collide as one came into land, but miraculously every single person on the larger plane managed to make it to safety. And you look at the wreck of the plane, it's unbelievable that everyone got out of that. But yeah, I mean, the Japanese are very well versed on emergency crises. I mean, you know, even at primary school, even infant school, they get taught how to deal with earthquakes and things like that, which is ironic considering this crash was indirectly caused by an earthquake. Remember I was talking about Luke Littler before, the 16-year-old, soon to be 17, who comes second in the World Darts Championship. Well, experts have got a warning for him. Who saw this coming? Luke Littler is given grim warning by nutritionalists over 3,300 calorie kebab diet. Kebab-loving Luke Littler is on the verge of claiming a historic victory at the PDC World Darts Championship final. He didn't. But his stomach will be celebrating too. They've said, basically, if he keeps eating like that, he'll be dead before he's 30. Which is amazing, because he already looks 35. And like I said earlier on, I got this off the radio. Someone said he looks like he's 35 and he's had 2 really horrible divorces. But you can't, argue that he's, good at darts. Putin has 3 body doubles who are watched 24/7 with no lives of their own. Vladimir Putin has at least 3 body doubles who are kept under 24-hour surveillance by the Russian Secret Service. At least that's what the Ukrainian military intelligence has said. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're wrong. I think he has definitely got doppelgangers, because most world leaders like that have got doppelgangers. Royal Navy sailor fired for racy £2,000 a month side hustle on HMS Prince of Wales. So this 21-year-old has been fired for HMS Prince of Wales after he posted X-rated pictures to the adult website OnlyFans. But he said getting fired was one of the best things he's ever done, and he's now making £20,000 a month because people want to look at that. Whatever floats your boat. See what I did there? I did a boat joke. Stabbing at UK shopping centre leaves 2 men in hospital as shoppers ran scared. So you're obviously thinking, oh, London again. No, this is Meadowhall shopping centre in Sheffield. Police said 2 men have been arrested. There's no further details, although this happened earlier on in the week. I was at the opening of Meadowhall shopping centre. It was the first shop I opened. And it was called Microbyte, and it was in the Meadowhall shopping centre, and we were there for about 3 days beforehand, staying until 2 o'clock in the morning. I was living in Diggs in Wakefield. It was an interesting time in my life, and if it hadn't been for that, I may not be where I am now, i.e. in Wigan. Remember before I said that the copyright has been lifted now on the early images of Mickey Mouse? Well, Mickey Mouse has now been crowned Rat King in a horror game after Disney lose the copyright. Disney's beloved Mickey Mouse is set to receive a horror game treatment with an adaptation of the mouse as Rat King. It's underway now as the copyright of the Steamboat Willie cartoon has expired. So expect a horror game featuring Mickey Mouse. And to be fair, the Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie was a bit of a horror movie anyway. I know it was 100 years ago, whatever, but it was still like a bit naff. The Rock makes huge WWE return, but fans say the same thing after he hits Move. In a dramatic return to WWE, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson verbally tore Jinder Mahal to shreds before dropping the People's Elbow on him, then teasing a matchup with Roman Reigns. Yep, me neither. But apparently that makes news in America. People are very excited. Meanwhile, in the UK, B&M customers raging as supermarket promotes 1 kilogram mini eggs bags for Easter. I mean, for a start, we've only just got into January, but all the supermarkets have now got Easter eggs. B&M have taken to its Instagram page this week to promote Easter chocolate. It shared a snap of the 1 kilogram bag of mini eggs it has on sale, but not everyone was happy about it because basically it's telling people to get fat. Oh, Alan, welcome. Oh no, I forgot about this. Don't worry about it. It's new. Everything's new. You have to be nice. Wild Mickey Mouse clip leaves fans in tears as he forces himself on Minnie. A Mickey Mouse clip from Playing Crazy has resurfaced as the rodent repeatedly tries to kiss new girlfriend Minnie, who desperately tries to escape his grasp. Who knew that Mickey Mouse was a sex pest? Well, there'll be a court case coming now. Minnie will be after that. Putin dead. Rumours intensify as New Year's message is delivered by CGI Vladimir. Some have claimed Vladimir Putin's New Year address to the Russian people was actually delivered by a computer-generated or AI version of the Russian president, fueling rumours that he's actually dead. But it doesn't really, does it? Plus, if he's got multiple doppelgangers, why is he using that? Are they all dead as well? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Coyote Ugly refuses to go woke as they want to be as wild as you want. Coyote Ugly, a chain of bars that inspired the hit Hollywood movie of the same name, has said it is refusing to go woke as the establishment celebrates 30 years. And fair play on it. If you go into Coyote Ugly, or if you go into Hooters or whatever, you know what you're going to get. You can't then say, oh no, you can't do that, you've got to be like a Wetherspoons, no music, no nothing, just, shit food and expensive beer. Although, there's more news on that later as well. I don't just throw this together. Another shocking story. Bodybuilding brothers started training as toddlers, but are unrecognisable now. No, Sherlock. They start body training as toddlers and they're unrecognisable. They are not toddlers anymore. They are grown men. Of course they're unrecognisable. A fisherman dredged up a dinosaur off New Zealand, but the smell made them throw it back. A huge monster was pulled from the depths near the New Zealand coast by Japanese fishermen, but the weird find came with controversy, mania and scepticism. Yeah, we found an actual dinosaur that isn't a fossil, but we threw it back because it stunk. You're on a ship in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you could have at least put it on a boat, one of your lifeboats, and just dragged it behind you. But no, they threw it back in, so sorry. Threw it back in. It was only a tiddler. COVID-19 miracle drug Trump urged people to take has now killed 17,000 people, says a study. Donald Trump backed the miracle COVID-19 drug that promised protection for Americans against the virus, but now it seems it may have taken the lives of 16,990 people in a new study. Now, COVID was deadly to some people, many people, millions of people, I think, worldwide. So, just because you've had the vaccine doesn't necessarily mean that the vaccine killed you. Some people are allergic to vaccines, which they may not have known when they had the vaccine. Some people have underlying health conditions, say for example cancer or a dicky heart or stuff like that, which may also have been a factor as well. So I think it's all a bit plucking things out of the air to have a go at Trump. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Trump. I think more people probably died from drinking bleach when he had that press conference. Hey Ma, he says drink bleach, it'll kill the COVID virus. Well, it did, it killed him as well though. But yeah, I think it's all a bit nonsense really. I mean, I chose, as I've said before, not to have the vaccines. But that was my personal choice and I knew the risk I was taking. Who writes these stories? I don't know. I just read them out, I don't write them. Pub offers $1.99 pints and a £5 burgers in bid to lure Brits away from dry January. Now, I'm a big fan of dry January. Yep, don't drink any water in January, and I don't have a shower either. I keep dry all the time. Dry January can be tough at times for the pub industry, as many Brits take a month off alcohol, but establishments are fighting back with offers to tempt customers back. Now, I was at a pub, if you saw the Wigan Watch, with 3 Tories. It was an interesting night, it's got to be said. And I think a round was about 14 quid for 4 of us, which isn't bad, because one of them lives in London, and he said it's over £10 a pint in London in some pubs, and it's even more than that in other pubs as well. So, yeah, Trump. UK faces massive security risk if Trump is re-elected, diplomats warn. Donald Trump is vying to become US president once again, and if he's successful, top diplomats say Britain could face massive security risks if the US ends its support for Ukraine and withdraws from NATO. Which has basically got nothing to do with us directly, it's just an indirect scare tactic again. I mean, it is true, but what can you do? Bigfoot snapped peering around tree as believers claim you can see eyebrow. Now I saw his face, now I see an eyebrow. Not a look out in my mind. I'm in love. Ooh. I saw a believer, Bigfoot. I didn't. An image purporting to show Bigfoot sparking a frenzy when it re-emerged online this week. Some reckon it's the real deal, others think it's a more obvious explanation. Yeah, it's fake. Thank you. Move on. Putin! Putin's main doppelganger, Carpenter from Belarus, as another is poisoned. Vladimir Putin's use of body doubles has been a long source of internet speculation, and now, according to one Russian commentator, the main one has been outed as a carpenter from Belarus. So it makes a lot of sense that they're very friendly with Belarus, doesn't it? Now, this is a who would have thought it story. An abandoned UK ghost road has been reclaimed by nature as hedges spread onto the tarmac. The Erie A497 used to be one of Wales' busiest roads, but was officially closed in 2006, earning the title Ghost Road before being reclaimed by nature as hedges sprout either side. Now, who'd have thought that if man leaves somewhere unattended, that nature isn't going to claim it back? Yep. Now the other question is, if it shut in 2006, that is what? It's 2000. It's 18 years ago. It's hardly claimed it back. You can still see the main part of the road. It's the ultimate non-story story, but it's worth showing you. Talking of a story, Prince Andrew shouted and screamed at maids if they touched his teddies. Following a new published legal documents that link Prince Andrew to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, that was hardly news, we look back at when the Duke of York was outed for screaming at maids if they moved his teddy bears. Yeah, it wasn't when he was a child. He was in his 40s at the time. I'm not even joking. Anyway, I went to Tesco. And I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this or not, because I don't know quite how this works, because I've never done... This is a test mainly, and it's going to loop, so you'll hear it over and over again. But you think the people who work at Tesco head office and deal with the computers and all that, at least can spell, or at least have a spell checker. It would appear or not.
When Tesco can't spell. When Tesco can't
Now,
spell.
Can you hear that? I don't know whether you can
Tesco
hear that or
can't
not.
spell. When Tesco can't spell. When Tesco can't spell.
I've never heard them called Tesco.
When Tesco can't.
I've turned the sound off now, so you can't hear it. So you can hear me instead. But yeah, frozen chips. I mean, does that mean they're super cold? The frozen. They're absolutely frozen. Anyway, the good thing is clips work, so I might be able to do clips out and about news as we go on through the year. But anyway, let's see if we can hear the sound again.
Spell. When Tesco can't spell.
Frozen.
When Tesco
Frozen.
can't spell.
Frozen. Maybe they're
When
like
Tesco can't
Forza
spell.
Horizon.
When Tesco can't spell.
But yeah, that
When
amused me, I
Tesco
must
can't
admit.
spell.
And that brings us to breaking news. Breaking news. News that's broken. Tron and Caddyshack actor Cindy Morgan dies at age 69. Council blasted for publishing a £51,000 a year job advert excluding white people from applying. Well, that seems reasonable, doesn't it? You get the best person for the job. A neighbourhood that's sick and tired of being the car park of Manchester. That seems reasonable as well. Cold weather warning upgraded to amber as whole population now at risk. So wrap up warm. Premier League defender declared bankrupt due to unpaid bills. Blackpool Promenade hotel site lying empty for 10 years goes up for sale. Minister hit by brain tumour joins for calls for change on assisted dying. I'm not sure about assisted dying. Esther Ranson's on about this as well. I'm not sure. I think as long as you're of sound mind, you have the choice. But I think it could be used to kind of rid people or rid the planet of people for whatever reason. And I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. I mean, my mother, who's 88, is now on a do not resuscitate, although it's not called that anymore. So basically, if she has a heart attack or anything like that, they will not attempt to resuscitate her and she will die. apparently this is normal when you get to that age and you're very frail. I've refused to sign the papers, but it makes no difference. Yeah, shocking. Market town crowned best to live in UK for countryside walks and friendly locals. Doesn't say where it is though, because it's a clickbait. Why it seems like everyone is sick right now and COVID isn't to blame. No, it's the weather. Da, 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 da. Right, I think. Thwaites' brewery site takes on new role ahead of Morrison's plan. Now that's in, if I'm right, that's in Blackburn. I'll have to have a look at Blackburn, see what's going on. Another one to add to my list for Wigan Watch. Government looking into measures to clear Horizon scandal postmasters, says the PM. Tories accused of caving by picking partner of disgraced ex-MP for by-election. Yeah, I must admit, it's been announced today that an MP who's been kicked out for, a Tory MP who's been kicked out for disgraceful behaviour, his wife is standing in the same seat. And you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. That doesn't work, does it? Iranian woman whipped 74 times for refusing to wear the hijab. Snow alert issued by Met Office as Londoners brace for icy conditions. They're not used to it down south. Up here we have to get our big coats. Get your big coats. New COVID variant could surge this week as kids go back to school, says an expert. Well, I'm not an expert. I could have figured that one out. Jesus. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Oh, they're remaking a remake of Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. And lots of new driving laws have come into force this week, which is hardly breaking news, let's be honest with you, but there you go. Oh, damn predictive test. Yes, Alan, absolutely. So anyway, this new time slot isn't really working, but we'll give it a go. It's the first one we've done. We've only had 22 views. We've got 6 concurrent viewers. The highest we've had is 10. We've had 3 likes. Don't forget to like if you enjoy stuff like this. It is always greatly appreciated. Big shout out to Luke, JT, Rachel and Alan for joining in the chat. And how long have I been on for? I wanted to get it down to about an hour. And I've been on for 57 minutes. So that is pretty damn good, isn't it, this new look? If you missed the beginning, Alan, is the opening page that we've got. And then we do the main news, which is where we look at the biggest stories of the week, which was the tragic murder of a 16-year-old, whilst looking at another 16-year-old having the biggest week of his life, and the juxtaposition, as well as the horrendous crash, a miraculous survival in Japan, in a week where I've been watching a lot of plane crash documentaries and things like that. It's alright, Alan, it's all new times, new everything. 9 o'clock Sundays from now on. And then you've seen the maps, haven't you? This is going to be a permanent page, and I can just point at the maps and you can say, look, there you got this and that and the other and blah 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 blah. So that's we've got a map page, we've got the World Week's News page, which may get a tweak, but for the time being that'll do. And then we've got the actual world news, where I look at the news from mainly Australia and America, but I might start chucking India in again and see what's going on in India. And then we've got the video clips. Could you hear the sound on the video clip?
When Tesco can't
oh yeah, I got a new suit as well. New studio, new suit. I'm trying to look more like Andre
when
off
Tesco
of
can't
Top
spell.
TV.
When
So
Tesco
that's why I put
can't
on weight
spell.
this week. And
When Tesco can't spell.
I'm going bald. Yeah,
When
it's all
Tesco
part of the
can't
new
spell.
look. This
When
this
Tesco
book.
can't spell.
So yeah, it's
When
so that's revealing as well in the area, which is not a bad thing, because can be quite serious at times. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Is there anything else? Does anyone want to say anything? Say hello or anything before we go? Been on for a good hour now. Hopefully people get used to the new time. And to be fair, I didn't have as many complications as I was expecting with this new studio and new screens and new way of doing things and everything. I'm just trying to make the light... adverts. People have got an advert. 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 Right, I assume the advert's over now, or you've clicked off it. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this. And hopefully you'll come back and see us next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, you can chat in the chat room. Obviously if you're watching or listening to this when it's not live, then you can go straight to the comments section and leave a comment as well, and then join us at the next episode. I'm also looking at getting people in on camera, so like I can have you for half the screen and then we can chat amongst each other about the news and that kind of thing. So that's something else I'm working on, but that might take me a little while to get going. Yeah, it's worth a try. I think what a week that was getting too long and too complicated. It certainly was taking up too much time. So this is definitely a way forward for me. So fingers crossed it will do well. Anyway, that is it for this week on this week's news roundup, and I will see you next week for another news round up. I've not what? Play on words to get more clicks? Surely not. Don't call me Shirley. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are, and all being well, I'll be seeing you next week, and I will say bye. Always makes me laugh when I do that because it's funny. It's not really. Or is it? Nobody knows. Anyway, I'm going.